Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. All right, let's get started, shall we? I actually saved my playlist this time, so I don't have to do what I did last time. Perfect. Okay, so today we are going to be looking at the analog controller issues that were happening in the Overworld map. Before I get to that, I have two things I want to do. The first is figure out this fragment rock for disassembly thing that I just encountered. I actually mentioned it about 4 days ago, and I will quickly show what that is about by running my game. And if we go here, and we go to a base camp, which there isn't one here. That's funny. We might have to add that later. Alright, base camp. Okay, so if we look at disassembly, we will see that the item at the bottom just shows the same exact thing, right? And that's wrong. This is actually supposed to show the fragment itself. A fragment looks like these. You can see in the lower right how there's this little icon here. That's what the fragments are supposed to look like. If we go to our inventory and we go to materials, we can also see the fragment icons here. So these fragment icons are supposed to be what those rings disassemble into. And those icons are not showing up in the right spot. So we're going to be looking into why that doesn't happen right now. So to begin, we're going to go to the window or interface. The interface that has the disassembly in it. So this is the Artificer Disassemble window menu. This is where everything gets created. So we can see the disassembly result is a menu icon button. So we know this is what's going to be modified. It's called the disassembly result. So really we're looking for the component named disassembly result, and usually when we're choosing menu components to modify, we will reference it by name. So if I just look for disassembly result in my project, we will probably find it. Hi, Plasticky! Welcome! Good to see you. Disassembly result. So we're just gonna browse our project for this. Right here. So the inventory display, we have... This is the... What is this? That's what I want to know. Because there is a comma here, so this looks like an argument list of some sort. And I want to know what that argument is. Oh, the menu function data. That is... But why is there a comma? Because this is a lambda. Like, is this... Like, did I do this for fun? No. Am I in something else? Hold on. Yeah, this is an argument list. Oh, here we go. So the first argument was the rectangle. Second argument is the item name label name. Third is the item description label name. Fourth is the inventory button click action. So that is a lambda. 5 is the hover action. So this is what happens when we hover over. And then we have the mouse out action. So on click, it basically selects that item for that window. Now here, the disassembly result gets an icon set, and we can see it's the icon. So that's not what we want. We want the icon's fragment. So we're gonna back up. We're gonna say fragment icon. So that's a typo, which is fine. And that returns a decal pointer. And that's what we need. Oh, it's a string. So we have to index into graphics based on that string. It's also optional. Now we know if we mouse over anything in here, it's supposed to be an accessory. So we're gonna assume that it exists, but if it doesn't, should we just play it safe? Let's just do a blank image. So I have, I think it's called blank.png. And hopefully that'll suffice in case we get an invalid value there, because it is optional. And an optional value does not... Oh, what's happening? Oh god. Let me disconnect the controller. Okay. Are we good? It just started scrolling this list, and I think it was my controller doing that. But anyway, I'm just going to assume everything's fine now. So I'm looking for blank.png. I just want to make sure it exists because this is an optional. And if it's an optional, then what I would like to do is have it choose a blank image if we need it. It looks like I don't have blank.png. I do have like pixel.png, which I could use. That might be okay. Yeah. Okay, let's use pixel.png if it's invalid. If we see a pixel, first of all, this should never happen. If it does, we did something really stupid and wrong. So, hopefully that is never the case. We have to include graphics. Include graphics. Yay. Are we good? Oh, and it returns a renderable. So, get the decal from there. Hi, blah. Welcome. We're just sticking with this now. I made the mistake and I am committed to the mistake. Also, my overlay window is not overlaid. Oh, you know what? I don't even think it's on right now. It's not. It's only popping up in the back over there. No. So one thing I've noticed though, if I look in my Windows event viewer, I cleared it recently so I can keep an eye on it throughout the day. But if I refresh it, there are some errors popping up. So the next time it occurs, I'm gonna check this and see if the error pops up. Because if there's an error for it, then at least we know where the source comes from. I also notice it's for very particular actions. Like, remember when we did it for Cheat Engine? When I opened up Cheat Engine and it kept happening? Yeah, it's kind of like that, right? So, I'm just keeping an eye on it that way. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Twitch chat overlay, please. I really have to put this somewhere else. Okay. Oh, good. Alright. So now the fragment icon should be appearing proper when we mouse over. Now does it stay that way? So if we select an item and then hover over something else, it'll change. Otherwise it has to go back, right? Hover out? Ah, it does the same thing. So we can just copy paste the code. Yes. It should work the exact same way. And now it should show the fragment icon in the disassembly window down there instead of the ring again, which is not what we want. Okay. Big stretch. Big stretch. Ta-da! Now the fragment shows up down here instead of the actual ring. Hooray! Okay, so that's great. That's what we want. So we'll commit that. Just a very small change that I forgot about until recently. This is still in the miscellaneous fixes branch. So once we're ready, we're going to bring all these things over to the master branch. I think I'm ready to do that now. So we're going to do that before we go into the controller fix. Because the controller fix, I'm going to make it in its own branch. It is important enough to where it's actually causing problems and deserves its own feature branch to work on. So that's what we're going to do. So this is release build 12314. Any day now. I hope you're doing well, blah. Fix disassembly result window. Result panel. Showing the ring again instead of the fragment icon. And this is release build 12314. Alright. It is a little later in the day today, so we won't be doing too much programming. We'll still try to get some things done. Alright. With miscellaneous fixes ready to go, it is time to finally merge this branch into master. And then we are going to go back to working on... oh! There's one more thing. I think I can still make the effect I wanted for the health and mana icons that we were messing with yesterday. That GUI that was messed up specifically for the mana icon, but not the health icon. Yeah, I kind of realized what that problem was. So, after we get the correct sizing values, when we scale it back down, it needs to go from percentages locked into specific pixels. If that doesn't make any sense, I will try to show it, but basically we turn it into floating point. If we snap it back to integer values, then it'll be pixel by pixel again. And these are very tiny images, mind you. That's why there was that like 15 times. I was trying to figure out why it said 15 times before, right? And this is why. It's because this heart.png is 17 by 16 pixels. So if we draw 15 of those pixels, I think I purposely chose 15 because I think like one pixel at the bottom doesn't get drawn or something, probably because it's an outline. And so same with the mana icon is 17 by 16 as well. So that's why we're doing what we're doing here, is because the 15 represents the actual size of the image, even though we scale it up. So the scaling is actually what makes that really sharp pixel by pixel display that were trying to aim for with the mana initially. Anyway, enough talk. Let's go to render UI, or render overlay? I'm blinking right now. I apologize. It's a draw. I don't remember what this is called all of a sudden. What? Hold on. Anyway, we can find like mana icon. Mana. There it is. Render HUD. That's what I called it. I was thinking GUI, but HUD. Okay. So if we go back to here, this code is 15 times whatever based on the health ratio, and we divide that by 100, and the 100 is the float. So because the multiplication and division is associative left to right, or the associativity of these operators is left to right, that means that after all these are done, we're going to end up with a floating point value. And so that means we had that smooth shrinking image that we saw before. If we turn this back into an integer now we will get the snapping we're looking for. So as a final adjustment to all this, we convert it back to an integer at the very, very end. So we can do something like this. Int cast, and we have to go to the after the divide by hundreds. Oh, I can also turn on my keyviz. So we go back here to all the divide by 100s, and we're going to add a closing parenthesis. I'm like, that's not right. I want it to be half the window, not the whole window. So now the heart and the mana image both are going to be snapped to specific pixel values once the calculations are all done. And because we do the floating point conversion on the very last bit of it, I don't think we're going to run into that issue anymore of some parts of it being one too low or one too high at different moments, because we're not going to have that rounding error that I think we were getting before, just doing all the floating point conversions. Oh, we have a fail compile? What happened? Oh, we have to do narrowing conversions. I mean, these values over here are supposed to be VI2Ds as well, so I might as well just make all of these integer vectors to begin with. There's no reason they stay float. I think that makes sense. Looks like it's working now, no more errors. So we can go, oh, hold on. Controller. Okay. So go over here. Oh, that's interesting. This popped up when I turned on my controller as well. There's a lot of things that causes this to trigger. It's very interesting, but okay. So yeah, we can now see the mana is ticking per pixel, which is kind of the aesthetic I wanted to go for. So that's nice. I like that. And we're gonna make sure the health is doing the same thing too. Ow, 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 ow. Jerks. So yeah, we can see the mana and the health images both stack up kind of like that. So that's great. I like that. Very good. I'm happy with that. So that's what we're actually going to use from now on. So that means this commit will also go back into the demo branch, because we want this behavior to appear in the demo itself. So you can see this thing starting to pop up again. Let's just take a quick peek. So yeah, it's popped up 3 times and there have been 3 errors. Now, it's the same thing. It's from this con host thing, application crashing events. So something's trying to run and it's just crashing. Con host is just what the Windows console runs on. So unfortunately, that means we don't exactly know what is trying to run, but it can't run. It's failing to run. But something is trying to run at various points in this. So I'm not sure what we can do about that realistically. I mean, if conhost.exe is running right now, we could try to, again, debug it and see if we can find anything here. So you can see there's all these con hosts, but specifically, if we look at these processes, they're being run by me, whereas these are being run by the system. So I have a high suspicion that these con host instances are the con host instances that we are interested in. So I'm just gonna debug one. Let's just try, right? Couldn't hurt. Yeah, there's really nothing we can ascertain from this. Yeah, there's just not much we can really do about this, honestly. Other than actually trying to delete or get rid of whatever triggers this in the first place. It'll be a real challenge to figure out exactly where this thing is coming from. But at least this pops up here, so that's a start, right? Unfortunately, the log itself doesn't give us useful information about what actually runs. It does tell us the process ID, though. Maybe I should have looked at that. The next time it happens, we can look at what the process ID at least was in the task manager itself to make sure we are looking at the right thing, but at the same time, there's not much we can do after. Anyway, this commit that we're about to do here is going back in, though. Health and mana icons are snapped to pixel values. And that puts us at release build 12316. So with that out of the way, we're also going to cherry pick that commit into the demo branch in the future. I won't do it now, but that is the plan. So we're just going to note down the commit here. Copy commit ID. I finally figured out I can actually do that, so I don't have to go to my website just to check on what that is and copy paste it. So that's nice, right? I'm just writing down all the ones that we have to eventually bring into the demo branch itself. Just keeping notes on all of them. So it's finally time to merge this into the master branch. So we're gonna go ahead and go back to my Git instance, and we're gonna start a new pull request to merge miscellaneous fixes into master for commits. And then we will create the merge commit once the checks succeed and it's done them script and build. So with that out of the way, we've got two new branches, or two new branches committed to master now. So that's great. And we're about to make another one. Woohoo! So moving on, let's start a new branch and we will base it on master. This one's gonna be called analog overworld fix. Yeah, analog controller overworld fix. This is going to address issue, I believe, 101. Oh, and this is, yeah, this one's done. This one's fixed. So we can close this one, and we're on to this one. And we're gonna bring over our to-do, and we are keeping this one, the incoming merge. Okay, so before we merge this, let's figure out what the issue is. I think we're going to need debug mode for this, unfortunately. I'm gonna go ahead and start a build immediately, because that's going to take a while. I also don't know why the output window keeps doing that. I really want it to stop, please. It keeps disappearing on me. So, we need to go to the overworld. Oh, we're here. The overworld map level window. No. There's a state. Here we go. State overworld map. This is where all the magic happens with navigating between connection points. So if we're looking here, this code got modified recently. So this is actually not the most recent code. We need to fast forward our master branch. So I would like to do that. I just have to wait for the miscellaneous fixes to finish. I think it's almost done. It's 2/3 of the way done. It does take a while to compile my game, no matter how you look at it now, so unfortunately it is what it is. But when it's done, we can bring in those changes. Now, I could locally merge, so we can go look for what I just did here, which was the miscellaneous fixes, and we can just say that we're going to be up to date over here. So, miscellaneous fixes, let's, oh, I want to hit merge miscellaneous fixes into analog controller overworld fix. So there are conflicts. The conflicts is the to-do again. Oh, and the version. That's fine. Am I... Resolve conflicts. Okay, I think we have to commit the merge first, and then we deal with the conflicts. So... merge with master. That was the first thing we had to do. Push that up. And then... we have to do merge miscellaneous fixes. Okay, here we go. So these two are unmerged because they're conflicting. So we're keeping current. And version.h, we're keeping current. Okay. This is merge with miscellaneous fixes. So since we are doing a merge with master on the remote side, this will now be up to date with what's going into master right now. It's just we took master before this finished. So this just finished, which means now master is officially up to date. So everything's going to be up to date in a second. This branch is out of date with the base branch. Oh, okay. Yeah. So update branch by merge. That means it's going to be a rebuild. So now it waits. And it does it again. Because when we do this, it's going to start a runner. Great. Okay. So we can see here, this is the new code. We got rid of that old code, which was a little ugly. And it's probably going to be a little easier to debug this now. So the issue we're having is if we press up on the analog stick, we end up going all the way up. We just keep going. And it doesn't really stop. So very curious why that's happening in the first place, right? Also, there's a continue here, but we're not in a for loop, right? Yeah. So that must be a mistake. Oh, we are in a for loop. It's up here. Okay. That's correct. Also, this label doesn't need to be here anymore. It was a go-to label. Unless we just want it for the sake of labeling the code, which is totally okay. But I did build the debug, so the debug build is ready to run. So first we're just going to analyze the situation. We don't really know what is happening yet, so we're going to have to just probe the variables, see what's going on, why it's even happening in the first place, and go from there. One thing I will say is there's no else statements here, so certain directions have priority over others when it comes to this code. Not that it matters too much, because with an analog stick, you can only go in 2 directions at once. So, but just saying, like, if you go left down in 1 frame, you're probably always going down because that code happens, or no, you're always going left because that code happens first always. I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things. Also, we're rebuilding. I think I hit build before I did all the changes, but we're good now. Oh, this might be the default pack ID. Yes. So we have to do the usual. I need to hide the screen for just a second while I grab the pack ID. The secret pack ID. Oh yeah, the Owala bottle pop. So this Owala was a gift from my girlfriend. It's a really nice bottle. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We should be good now. I got the pack key. So running the game now should not cause that anymore. And I got my controller right here, although it's off again. Now it's back on. And we're just gonna see. And the Windows thing pops up, error, when we tried to turn on the controller. That's kind of telling that it might be something that detects like hardware. I still think it might be something related to the Razer app or something. It's entirely possible. It's not completely out of the question. Alright, so we're gonna look at this one more time in detail, and we're in debug mode so we can really look at what's going on. So again, analog up, we go straight to the highest node we possibly can. It's like all those are navigating in one fell swoop, right? Whereas every other direction I have to keep pressing it one after the other, but I can just teleport up whenever there's a string of nodes all at once. So that is a very consistent behavior. Now to find out what's going on, right? Get out of here. And that's the pack key. Now you all know what the pack key is. I don't care, it doesn't really matter. I change it every so often anyway. I'm like, oh, it literally navigates backwards to the pack key. Exactly. If you don't know what it's for, then even better. You don't need it. That's all I will say. It's like being given like some kind of code, like you see a code in like a video game you're playing for a puzzle and you have no idea what it's for. You're just like, this just looks important, but you have no idea what to do with it. Maybe you'll stumble upon it one day, right? Or maybe you never will. Who knows? Is it a Konami code? No. Alright. We're gonna break point here because this is relevant. Let's press up on the analog stick. So, I assume analog move is true. Oh wait, false? Wait, why is it false? If not analog move, and one of these two is true... Wait, why does that have to be false? I don't understand. Analog move. This also doesn't make sense. Like, what? Hold on. Is this just a variable for state overworld map? It is. And it gets changed to true when we are overlapping something and clicking, but we're seeing if the analog stick is in a direction. That's confusing, right? I don't understand why this line is here. We'll investigate that a little later. It's not really relevant for what we're trying to do right now. We're back to looking at analog move over here, which is false. So we are in here, and we've got values for these, I presume. So right now, let's see what we enter here. So target direction is what we're interested in. It's good to find which way we're supposed to go. I assume that we're gonna go up, so it gets set to 0. We can see it doesn't get set to any other value, so we're definitely going up. If a line of code looks weird, delete it and watch the chaos unfold. Surely nothing could go wrong. Okay, and neighbor index. So the neighbor index is 50, so it's valid. We can go up, essentially. And so we do. And it's unlocked, of course, so we're gonna move towards that. So that just happened, which means we break out of here, right? We shouldn't be running anything else. We're done. Like, that's it. That's all the code is supposed to do. We have completed one update loop, and we should have moved up one neighbor. So at this point, the game is just going through the rest of its updates. Let's now look at the code. So look at this. In one frame, we've only gone up one node. This is actually the correct behavior. But why do we go up multiple nodes now? Well, it must be that this code keeps triggering, right? And I think I'm starting to get an idea of what is happening here. But I'm still a little perplexed. Because let's think about this for a second. If we're holding up, and then it goes boom, 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 all the way up to the maximum it could, what's stopping all the other directions from doing the same thing? It's a little weird, right? I think it's very weird. So we have a variable here that sets analog move. Oh, look at this. This code does not have anything for... Oh wait, it's absolute value. Never mind, that should be good. Okay. Anyways, this code, I understand what I was going for here. Analog move determines... gets set to false such that we can navigate. Once we've navigated, we set to true. Which is probably why this code was in here, it got copy-pasted. But it doesn't make sense up there, because that doesn't have anything to do with controller inputs. But when we're down here, now we're saying, okay, we've moved one time, we're going to set analog move to true. That way, on the next frame, we're not going to just keep trying to move over and over. This line right here is supposed to stop what we're experiencing right now from happening. So why then do we experience it once we do this? So the question is, does analog move get set back to false properly? I think it should. But what happens if we keep the analog value being held on there over and over and over again, right? So let's do that again. So I'm going to press up on the analog stick. And once again, our target direction is 0. We go into here, and we're going to assume that the game is actually pulling the controller. Analog move is still false at this point. So in theory, if we ran through multiple iterations really quickly, then it can run this code again right now. So actually what I'm going to do is on the controller, I'm going to hold up. I'm just going to keep it held down, held up. This would be simulating what happens in the game right now. So you can see I just kept this held. I haven't like released it. And the game is in here again. So once again, the target direction is up. So this would be emulating what we would be doing if we're trying to play the game normally. Because if you run the game really fast, you're not going to go like this to nothing in one go. But right now, I'm holding the analog stick up to represent, okay, in like the 100 or so frames that the game is registering your input, we're holding up the analog stick. So now I'm going to let it go, and we can see that the expected result is, as long as we were holding the up analog stick, it kept going up. So we can see that again in real time now. I just hold up for a moment and it goes straight up. Now if the game was laggy enough, technically we could get out of there before it reaches the top, because that would have been 5 frames. I can turn on VSync, but I still don't think I can really release the analog stick in 5 frames. It'd be very hard. Oh, there we go. I did that. That was like, basically this is how many, we're advancing by how many frames of the game advance. Oh, and it's actually running at 120 FPS. So really, we have to release it 1/120th of a second to get 1 down. So you can see here, when I hold it down for a certain amount of time, I can not go all the way up. So it has to do with holding it all the way up for at least 5 frames, which happen so fast anyway that most of the time you're going to experience that anyways. So then the next question, right? Why doesn't it happen with all the other directions? Why only up? Is up.pressed bugged? Because you notice we're using the analog move as a way to represent a key press system. So if we get down here and analog move is not getting set to true, then we've done something wrong with this code. Something's not right. Because in order to get up, the we're assuming the analog value is returning a value less than -0.2. So we're going to be seeing that now and making sure that's the case. I think this line is supposed to be this line. It's just the source file has been modified. So yes, this is the line. We're going to go in and we're going to assume that this returns false. Even if we iterate through all the keys. Yeah. The up key on the controller is the D-pad, so we're using the analog stick, so none of these should be true. And it looks like it got down here, so it's returning false. So that is the case. But now we're going into the analog values. So the analog values, it can pull a Steam controller, or it can just pull the analog control itself. So I think it's trying Steam first. The analog value returned 0. So Steam is now reporting this. My game itself is, which is fine. Oh, interesting. So we can see here, both are returning 0. So clearly I'm not holding it anymore. So target direction is -1, even though we've pressed up. So I guess it's because I'm not holding it anymore, right? So it probably pulled the controller at the same time I did that. Get me out! Okay, so we're gonna do that again, except I'm gonna hold it this time. To simulate, like, yeah, we're holding the key while it's figuring it out, right? So again, no inputs here should register. I didn't mean to type that. And so it should return false. Which it does. Then we go here, I'm gonna still hold it. Analog value returns 0, okay. I didn't mean to go in here, I just wanted to see the resultant value. It's also 0. So something's not working. Okay. So we didn't move at all while holding the up analog stick. Mostly because it got released, at least it reportedly got released at the same frame. I don't know why before we were able to advance normally like that. So I want that. Maybe I just messed up. So we're gonna ignore this again. And then we're gonna go in here. But see how the analog value returns 0 every time? I feel like I'm just not emulating it, right? That must be what's going on. Is I can't really emulate it in debug mode. But we also saw that it was able to move up when I did it right. See, it's supposed to work like that. Every direction except up works like that. But up specifically... Okay, it's doing it now. It's just very strange. You can see I'm holding it down here too, and constantly causing it to re-trigger. So the analog move thing I don't think works necessarily. At least not in the way I was expecting. Like, I can see if there's no place to go, this code will never run. But I mean, that's fine, because we aren't moving anywhere anyway. It's very strange. Up is trolling. There's gotta be a reason for it. But that's why we're investigating this, because this is a very peculiar bug. I guess what we should do is print out what analog reports. At least that way we can get a live feed of what is being returned. Because surely something is being returned when this happens. So let's just write to the log of what's happening. Maybe we should use the console log. Game console. I want to write to the console. Oh, it captures a standard out, I think. No, that doesn't sound right. How does the console work here? it lets us type stuff, but... Oh, yeah. Console out is the stream we write to. So we can do game, console out, and write the values we get from analog val. After we write the values from analog val, then we should be able to see at least what the controller reports. Because clearly we can't breakpoint and inspect it, because I think the game actually pulls the controllers a little differently when we're in this suspended state. So putting a breakpoint actually messes with the controller values we are trying to test for, and doesn't really capture them, but pulls for them. It's just really strange. And it doesn't seem to be an effective way to debug this problem. So we have to try a different approach. So when we press the analog stick, we should now see values in here. We can see there's just a bunch of values that got spewed out, right? So you can see here I pressed left, there was mostly negative values. Negative should always be up and left. Positive values should always be right and down. And there will be some room of error, it's just meant to be that way. The analog stick has a gigantic range of values, right? So I just pressed up, you can see I went up by 2 tiles. And you can see here it's reported a bunch of values. It might be more interesting to actually report... You know what I haven't tried? I wonder if it's only this analog stick. Maybe this analog stick is broken. Because look at this. This analog stick, I just went full send up. There'll be like these negative 0.99 values or negative 0.73s, and then all of a sudden there's a very, very, very small number. So, is this the controller's fault, or is this my code's fault? See, but if that were the case, when maybe it doesn't affect menus only because we are purposely pulling it on a delay. Oh, would you look at this though? Now this is interesting. When I hold up on a menu, yeah, because I'm not pulling it like every frame. So pulling every frame can produce inconsistent values occasionally. So what I wonder is if I hold up long enough in this menu, will I eventually get a bad value? Just out of nowhere? Like, surely that has to be the case eventually. That it never occurs. It's only... This is weird. I have plenty of controllers I could test with, but if it's not reporting that over there, then I know that something is happening here to cause that. And the question now is, what could that even be? Because that is fascinating. Definitely not the result I was expecting, right? Maybe we should do a live polling. So what I could do is, right now the console actually pauses the game. I can turn off that feature and just let it spew out stuff. So we'll go ahead and do that for a little bit and see what happens. So I'm going to on user create. Actually, I could do it here too, that's fine. Console show. Suspend time, we're gonna set to false. Now when it opens up, it doesn't actually freeze the game. So we can see in real time what the values reported are. I mean, a console is just another way to output to somewhere. It's like writing to a file, except you're just viewing the file live. Have you thought about that? When I see a console, all I think about is the numbers. What do they mean? Kind of like the glitchy matrix kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. So the game is technically running right now. Unfortunately, it's not pulling live like I wanted it to. I wonder why. Maybe it's because it's considered a game pause moment. Maybe I added that in is game paused when I initially made everything. So let me take a quick peek. Is game paused? Well, that's not happening, so that's not the issue. Somehow this isn't being reached, though. So it's something about the state. So we'll go to state. We'll go to global game updates. The state update happens right here, and the only thing blocking it is if not game paused. So game pauses if any of these are true. Is menu open is only true when there's menus on the stack. Oh, so this is the only piece of code that's actually not ran like the overworld map state, because technically it is paused because the menu is open, but I think... Oh, only pause and hub pause actually will pause the game on that. Loading screen loading. Should turn off. Disable fade in. Fade out duration. All these things should be false. Like, the game should not be considered paused if the console is open. Unless I missed some code, which I don't think I did. If admin mode, and we press the key, show the console, don't suspend time. Now we know for a fact that the animations don't stop, so the suspend time being false sounds like it's working. But what really is going on there? And the fact that holding controller up or analog stick up produces all those values, I wonder if any other direction produces values like that. I guess we should look. Oh, you know what? All those values in between aren't printing the vertical, they're printing the horizontal. I just realized that. So, because the analog call prints stuff, it's gonna print a horizontal value, a vertical value, at least one of these two. Then it runs through all these checks. So that's actually misleading. We're not seeing the result of this. I have a better idea. Let's comment out everything that's not the up key. We're only gonna allow the up key to not only report values, but also execute map movement. I think this is a good way to test if there are any side effects from having all the keys being implemented at this time. So this is the code with only the up key being enabled. Now, when we do testing for the controller, we're only going to see the values relevant to the vertical analog stick and only for pressing up. And thus we can kind of get a controlled debug state to really hammer in on, okay, what is happening with the up key? Or in this case, the up analog stick, right? Something is going on. And clearly... Oh... You know what it might be? It might be this line. No, they both have to be... There's an and here. I thought there was an or here. If it was an or, it would have been a problem. But it's an and. So that's actually okay. Both have to be true for that statement to activate. So far so good. So now I'm pressing right and left. I can't move anywhere. I can just click though. That's fine. And if I pull this up, it's only going to now show... So you can see the up thing is still happening. And if we press F11, we can see it's only reporting the up analog stick values now. So we know that's happening. We still don't know why it's happening yet, but we're going to add more print variables now, because the debugger doesn't accurately give us values, to see what the state of our other variables are like as we go through this code. So, for one, we expect that the target direction is getting set correctly. Otherwise, we wouldn't be moving up in the first place. And we also know that we're going to be moving towards whatever neighbor. There's going to be a neighbor check. It's going to move towards that direction. So we know this part of the code works fine. We're the most interested in what is happening with this guy. What, does it get reset? Why doesn't it get reset? So we're going to see if this line of code executes by saying analog move is true. We're literally just going to write that into the console. We expect it to also be displayed when we do so. Analog move is true. Okay. And then afterward, we're going to go down here and we're going to print out whenever analog move gets set to false. We could probably breakpoint this as well, but let's get a live, like, press up, release up, see what it says. So we still have everything else disabled, so nothing else will interfere. So I'm just going to hold up and release up quickly. So we can see here we're just spammed with a lot of analog move is false. So I think what we should do, and it wouldn't hurt, is to say if analog move, then check. Because we don't need to keep spamming analog move is false. And we also don't have to check if analog move is false already. So analog move has to be true before we even consider setting it to false in the first place. Because if analog move keeps getting set to false, then we know something happened. Also, that's not right. That's actually not right. We don't want that. Yeah. Build failed. It makes sense because we can't supply a float value in a long absolute value function. It still failed? Did I typo something? I think it just bugged. Oh, it's still doing it. Syntax error? Where's my syntax error? I must have typed it by accident. What? No, something is wrong. Oh. That's interesting. Apparently the letters O and G were typed into there by accident. Well, that's unfortunate. I must have not realized I was typing on that screen. Sometimes I wish I had a little more time to code. I didn't really get much chance this week, so we're gonna see. At least not compared to what I used to. Just have a lot going on nowadays, so getting code in when we can is nice. For whatever reason, it keeps full screening itself. It needs to stop that. Apparently if I do that, it will stop doing that. I hope. Maybe because it remembers that it's pinned against that window now. I think that's the theory. But since I accidentally typed in the defines.h header, it basically recompiled the whole game, so oops. It sucks that we can't, like, easily debug this, because this is very annoying that it's even happening in the first place. Like, come on. What is its problem? Okay, so we don't see any print statements other than the actual controller input. So what that's telling me is that it never gets set to true in the first place. This is basically where I lift up to press it and there's no... This doesn't happen. So, like, the absolute value? Does this not work? Oh. Oh no. That was the integer version of absolute value. The proper code to use is the template, the STL version of absolute, standard absolute. Wait, that doesn't make... Oh my god, hold on. The parentheses is in the wrong spot. It was... returning the absolute value of this statement, and this statement is a Boolean. Oh, jeez. Oh, that's a nasty bug. You can see here, it's actually correct. That would explain it. E. That's a nasty bug. Okay. So, the reason why it only happened on up is because even if the absolute value here doesn't resolve properly, when the value is greater than 0.2, it's going to return a 0, or excuse me, when it's greater than 0.2, it returns a 1, and 1 is true. The absolute value of 1 is 1, which is true, so it resolves properly on down. But on up, it's a negative value. The absolute value of this of 0 is 0, so it will never return true for up. Oh my god, that is... what a nasty bug. Ugh. That's awful. Wow. That is so awful. Ugh. And it's so easy to miss too. Like, obviously we've been staring at this code for the last 20 minutes. It's like, you always end up in that situation where it's like, what could possibly be wrong? Now all the behaviors all make sense. I'm just removing all the console outputs and cleaning up. And then we're pretty much good to go. That's going to be the fix. I'm glad it wasn't an actual input system issue, because I was almost hesitant. I was almost worried that it was actually going to be some obscure input system bug, specifically with the up analog stick. And maybe we've just been avoiding it because we haven't been polling values rapidly, unlike in actual navigation menus where there's a cooldown time, but that's not the case. So, thankfully, we figured it out. Oh, man. Man, oh man. What a day, right? What a day. So I put everything back to normal. Controller navigation for the world map should be fine now, including the up analog stick. Now you can see I'm holding up. It moved once. I press up again. It's working just fine now. So I think we're pretty much good to go. All right. It is working as it should. I'm surprised left doesn't work here. I would have expected left to work here. So we need to add that. Just like one special one. Because going from here, if we press right, it goes down to here by default. So there's no link from here to go back to here with left. So that is a little odd. I will fix that one. But yay! We're good to go. Thank God. I'm glad we at least got that figured out today. So we're gonna head to the Overworld map. And we can get rid of this now. This is irrelevant. And we're going to add a connection point west back to stage 2-5. Now, if I do this, I'm worried it's going to make a connection point from here to here as well. I don't know if it will, I'll be honest. There's gotta be some way for me to say... I think they're iterated in order. So I think if this comes later, there's already a connection point going back, so that might be fine. But it might be the other way around too. We'll just have to see. This is one of those edge cases where it's like, I don't actually like how I made this system. So I'll have to think about that. The auto mirroring network nodes to the other sides is great until you have a situation like this. Then it's not so great. The other fix would be to make it more clear on the overworld map. If I separate the stage plates more and then put that in the middle, then it's clear you have to go either up or down. You can't go left, right. To choose between both of those. Alternatively, we make another node in the middle. That's also possible. Okay, it seems to have worked fine. So I press right, I go here. I press up, I go here. I press left, I go back. It seems like it has resolved itself nicely. So I am happy with that. No complaints here. Just making sure I can navigate to every node on my map using the controller. And we have no bugs. Yay! So with that out of the way, it is finally time to do our big commit. Freedom! Alright. This is a fix for issue number 102. I believe. This should be done. I can delete miscellaneous fixes now. I think so, yeah. So we're gonna delete miscellaneous fixes. We're gonna go to issue 102. And we're now going to say we fixed it, right? Fixes issue number 102. Logic typo? I guess it's more just a typo, honestly. Typo involving absolute Boolean resolution instead of resolving the float. Okay. This is... we need to do a release build. So I haven't done that yet, and then we can submit this. Typos are tragic, yeah, especially something like that. How silly. So we should be built. Alright. So this is release build 12277. That doesn't seem right, only because I think we have a later version in master now. Let's see. Yeah, we're up to 12317. Well, I will add all the builds from here. So when this happens, because we have desyncs between both of these, is I will update this to be, in this case, 13 builds higher than this, which will be 12329. That way I just have an accurate amount of builds still, because I like to keep the amount of builds tracked. It's nice to know how many times we've recompiled our code during the entirety of our project. So this also... What else did we do? We did one more thing. Oh. Fixed or added extra connection point between, I believe it was 2.7 and 2b. 2.5 and 2b. It says b2, but it's b1. Whatever. Stage 2-5 and b-2. Oh, it's b-2 because this is bonus for chapter 2. That's the system we went with. Otherwise it would be b-1, and there's already a b-1. So I think that was the problem we ran into prior to this. So this is all committed. And now we're going to do a merge into master, and we should be good. So new pull request, analog controller overworld fix, also fixes number 102. And we will update branch by merge. And then we will create merge conflict checking is in progress. Create merge conflict or commit when the checks succeed. And once we're done with that, we move on. We have some fails. Why did this fail? Oh, we just stopped it early. Okay, that's fine. It's perfectly fine. Okay. I think this is a good stopping point for today. Thankfully, we got the main issue we were gunning for today completed. Yay! But for those of you that tuned in, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for coming and seeing me and my code. Next time we'll be working on the actual monster behaviors, because every single bug we've been trying to fix is fixed. We could optionally update the demo branch. We'll get to that eventually. It's not like the highest of priorities. But yeah, that's for next time. We're finally adding more stuff to the game now that we had some things get fixed. But thank you all for tuning in. Have a good one. Bye.